Today I want to explore the world of free games, and to do that we first have to revisit one of the best free games of all time. TF2 is not only one of the most iconic free games ever, but also helped popularize the whole character classes system, and later on, in-game tradable skins. Before TF2, Steam was seen as this weird obscure platform, and Valve knew this. Over the next decade, Valve made sure TF2 changed that, and eventually it did. This free game with constant updates and features not really seen elsewhere was a big advertisement arm for Valve and the Steam platform.
Rare endangered crab spot. What the fuck?
The character system TF2 popularized in the shooter genre is still one of the most used features today, and possibly the most controversial. But one thing no one can argue is it's far easier to differentiate between character models than the gun people are holding.
That would be your mother.
What the? Wait,
Indeed.
Fast forward to 2023 and TF2 is still thriving. Recently, the summer update for TF2 was released, giving the world's most loyal community new content for once. But it seems a lot of it was a little untested by Valve, and if you're an active TF2 player, I'd actually love to hear your opinion on the update below, because I've seen a few things on Twitter. Either way, the player count is now reaching new highs, even 16 years on after its original release, and has more players than every other game in this video combined times 100. After a few games of TF2, I managed to hit double digits, and I knew I wasn't going to get better, so I moved on to a new game that I've known about for months. Bro, the whole team is just AI. This is Enlisted, a squad-based multiplayer World War II shooter where AI stand around like Biden and have knife skills straight from the boroughs of London. There are real people too, though sometimes you can't really tell the difference. Alright, what's going on up here, boys? This can't be happening. Before you load into the main game mode, squads, you get to choose the location. Some are far more played than others, and most of the good players all gravitate to specific maps anyways. As soon as I got into the game, I figured out why the AI exists though. It's not that there aren't other players, because there are, but to get the feeling of fighting big battles, each player has their own AI squad to control. But what I ended up doing instead was just using them as respawn beacons because they don't really do too much. I'm sure some of the good players make use of the orders you can give these guys, but I didn't mind having some headless chickens I could just use as second lives. In the first game, I felt like I was in this infinite loop of hitting back-to-back clips until I remembered the AI is quite literally worse than the Rocket League tutorial bots. The whole time I was playing, I was getting the feeling that I was doing everything wrong, but at the same time I got over 100 kills, which seems like a lot for your first game. But it is a possibility the game was maybe giving me actual full beginner bot lobbies just to stroke my ego. And if that's the case, it worked. This is the weirdest shit. What? The first game ended in a clear win for the Deutsch, my team, and the second game was pretty similar. I'm still really not sure how you win the game, but it's similar to Hell Let Loose, I think. The more we pushed up, the more areas we took over, and occasionally me and the ChatGPT boys destroyed spawn points until we were so far up their ass we won the game. Throughout the two games, I got a total kill count of over 200 with a KD of 16. I still feel like the mode I was playing was beginner lobbies, but since we'll never know, they weren't. Now, Enlisted might not have Fortnite numbers, but the community is well established, and very soon there's some kind of ominous big update coming they call the Merge. So I don't know much about this game, but in my experience it was pretty good, and I think in the future it can only get better. To many of us, itch.io is the home of indie games, some older than most of you. After looking through the site, I pretty quickly came across a game called Silhouette. First released in 2013 for two players to play against each other in some kind of haunted mansion. It took me a good 20 minutes to actually realize this game is for two people, so I ended up just playing with myself, which was depressing. But thankfully, there's a game older than Silhouette by more than 1 year. This is Xmoon. It took me a bit, but I eventually figured out how it worked. You're a tank, and to level up you have to shoot other tanks, which then sometimes, but not always, drop orbs, which you then use to level up. Once I got the technique of moving in a circle and clicking the shit out of my mouse, I managed to move up to level 3, which was enough validation for me to move on. These games are the essence of free games, and I felt it was important to visit all aspects of the free genre. However, everyone knows there are hundreds just like these all over itch.io and other platforms, but it's common knowledge that most of the big free games are on Steam. This is Hired Ops, released in April of 2021 as a multiplayer FPS with RPG elements. After reading the first review, I knew this was something I had to try out, and after 50 minutes of being spawn camped by Masturbation Couch, I was heavily surprised. After the initial tutorial where they teach me how to left click the side of my mouse and how to undertake the steep learning curve of crouching, I got to play my first team deathmatch. This game didn't just look like Tarkov, but it actually felt like Tarkov and COD combined. The visuals were great, and the combat in general was way too good for a free game. Honestly, I didn't experience many negative things, though the reviews were packed with complaints of hackers and overpowered bots. The game 100% had an element of desync though, and combined with clunky movement, it's a little bit of a shitfest. Jumping made me feel like I was Neil Armstrong, and shooting long range is basically useless. Oh, sorry. Wait, is there team damage? Oh, there is! Oh, I'm very sorry. What the fuck? But these are complaints that even most AAA games still have, so the fact this game is free gives these devs a lot of leeway. In fact, maybe a little bit too much leeway, because the devs haven't said a word in 7 months, and it looks like this project has been abandoned. The peak player count for the last month was a mighty 398, and each month that figure decreases. I very much doubt it'll be too long until the servers are just shut down. That being said though, it's definitely not a bad free game, it just isn't unique or desirable enough to stand out, which seems like one of the most common modern day issues. So let's go back to 2007, where things were a little bit different. Just a few months after TF2's initial release, Zombie Panic Source was released as a standalone game after initially being a mod for Half-Life 2. It quickly garnered a dedicated following after the mod's initial popularity, and once the actual game was available on Steam for free, that popularity only increased. And while it's not the same today, there is still a community that's stuck around. There were tons of servers, but only one that was full, so once I eventually got in, I got to learn how fucking impossible this game is, and how good other people are. Where are we going? Always follow the bold man with a pistol. What? Oh my days.
Come on!
Oh my god, we're breaking this shit down. What? Never has there been a free game with so many people dedicating so many thousands of hours towards it. But the history of this game isn't all perfect. Numerous controversial updates like Update 1.5, 2.3, and 3.1 all had notable negative impacts. I feel like a lot of these updates just unnecessarily change things people actually liked, such as view models and gun sounds, which is a tale as old as time. Obviously, this game isn't what it once was, but to me that doesn't mean much since I was still a dribbling, chubby child when this first came out. I feel like over 80% of the time I actually spent on this game was as a zombie, which is one of the two teams available. The other is obviously humans, and on the rare occasion I survived as a human for a short while, the goal was to kill off zombies, run away from the zombies, and just try survive. I wasn't very good at it, But the source voice chat with the 2000s quality was so beautiful it made me forget all my problems. Games like this are truly timeless, and while this game has changed over the years, people won't stop playing it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see servers still being played and new maps still being made 10 years on from now. There wasn't actually a single game where I managed to survive the whole time as a human. Once, I was in a good position with ammo, a gun, friends around me, and I still found a way to die. But Zombie Panic ended up being the hardest game so far. However, I found one last contestant. This is a team-based shooter with a lot of modes and some very nice people. But before I jumped in, I had to investigate some controversy. Recently, the Steam Summer Sale hit the store and games alongside their DLCs dropped in price, but Caliber didn't like this. The most popular DLC pack they have, the Bodyguard Skin Pack, was stated as originally being $67, but the problem is that isn't true. Before the sale, the DLC was $60. That might not seem like a big increase, but it's a deliberate attempt at false reference pricing. The act of advertising a sale or discount by comparing the current price to a higher inflated original price that the product was never sold at. They did this with a lot of DLCs, and while it's nothing to do with the game's quality, I had to cover it. But casual illegal practices out the way, let's speak about the game's quality. After creating an account, I went through the regular cutscene skip simulator with a small tutorial included, but once Explosive Hot Dog 430 got in his first match, it was lights out. I started off pretty well, getting a few kills, but eventually our team was out-muscled by a guy called Marco PL. Oh. Thankfully, the second game was different and Marco PL ended up being on my team. The entire goal here, by the way, was to just kill the other team to end the round, and whoever gets to 3 round wins first is the victor. The first round of the second game ended up being a clean sweep for my team. We then lost the next 2 rounds, and with one more loss away from losing the whole game, Marco and I got our asses carried to the win. I won't lie, Explosive Hot Dog 430 wasn't that explosive in the last game, and honestly got bitched around by the level 70s on the other team. But for me, Caliber wasn't my ideal game, and the third-person POV made everything feel very clunky, and having people Ferrari peek you because they know you're there is hard to get used to. Caliber is the definition of a free modern-day shooter. It's good with a lot of issues and hilariously bad voice acting, but the community seemed nice, and the selection of different character classes and game modes as well as the option for pure PvE is hard to find in a free game. So unless you got scammed paying for DLCs, I think most people would come away with a pretty positive view of this game. But out of every game I played today, the only one I want to return to is Enlisted. The inflated ego you get from clipping on headless bots for 15 minutes while out-fragging people who are playing on a 30 FPS console is truly outmatched. But there was so much of the game that I didn't even get to see, like the dogfights. I think Enlisted needs an entire video just for itself, but that's one for the future. As always, thank you for hanging out, and if you sat through this all, subscribing and liking the video helps out the channel, and I appreciate any and all support. Have a great rest of your day, night, or evening, and I'll see you very soon.